closing statement. Speaker Gingrich, we're going to put 6 minutes up on the clock. The stage is yours.
Well, first of all, I thought that Andrew was spectacular. I thought that the rhythm, the litany, the pattern, it could have been a Shakespearean speech. A condemnation of the tyrant, a vicious, unending problem. Go back and listen to it sometime, since it is available online. And just listen to the rhythm. His Oxford education gives him such an extraordinary advantage. In America, if you sound like him, you have a 20-point higher IQ by the act of being able to speak. My good friend EJ continues the great tradition of the American elite media, which is they hated Trump before he ran, they hated Trump while he ran, they hated Trump when he was sworn in, and this morning they hate Trump. I want to pose a problem for all of you that's a real problem for a free society. How would you know? A 4-star general in the Marine Corps, retired, who lost a son in active duty, went to the press corps today in Washington and said, so much of what you report is false that it is an enormous problem. Another 4-star general, that was the Chief of Staff, John Kelly, retired, serving as Secretary of Defense, said yesterday, the media reports about Trump wanting to have a 10-fold increase in nuclear weapons are totally false. Now, you may decide they've both been infected, as my friends would suggest. They've become Trumpized. They no longer know the truth. Or you may decide that a great deal of what you believe is total hogwash, brought to you by a news media which is so deep into its own incestuous ideology and its own way of keeping score that it hasn't a clue what Donald Trump is doing, because it cannot allow itself to think openly and objectively. And I'll give you some examples. His speech in Warsaw is an extraordinary document. It's comparable to Reagan. And I say that with some knowledge because Tony Dolan, who was Reagan's chief speechwriter, helped write it and said this was equal to anything Reagan ever said in defense of Western civilization. But of course, if you're on the left, the very idea that you would defend Western civilization is probably proof that there's something wrong. Read his United Nations speech, which has a core argument. You may disagree with the argument, but it's not trivial. He says, the base of freedom starts with sovereignty. If the United Nations is a collection of sovereign countries who then reach agreements, it's useful. If, however, we're moving towards a globalization with a bureaucratic, legalistic system in which our nations are merely subordinate parts of this larger thing, then it's stunningly dangerous.